So the dynamic chat and forum posting ground rules really come from experience from since 2007 of leading online chats that are really specific to a course curriculum. So we have the do's and the do example and the don't example. And these are all based on past experience. They're all based on behaviors that are totally normal. Both the do's and the don'ts are totally normal. But what we're saying here is that what actually creates a higher level atmosphere and group coaching is the do behaviors. And what really actually tends to create contraction or limitation or a sense of not being connected and supported are the behaviors under the don't and the don't examples. So I'm going to cruise through this list just so that you and I are on the same page. If I ever do a don't behavior, please let me know. And that's kind of how we roll around here. We know that feedback is really important in order for us all to evolve. And it's not a bad thing when we receive feedback. It's a great corrective mechanism to get more on track with what we, basically how we all want to be with each other and how we both all want to experience chats and forums. So if you want to use this in other groups that you're part of, you are more than welcome to share it. I hope it's, I just hope it's useful. If there's ways that we can improve it, let me know. That's how we roll around here. This actually came out of member requests to create this ground rules just for chat and for forums. So the chat happens when we're in a live coaching session, and the forum happens, say, in our Facebook forum or in our app conversation. So the do's, I'm gonna kind of glance through these. It's more of a thing to print and just to ask yourself as you print it and read it through, and just ask yourself in circle behaviors that you're like, is this something that would be different for me to do? If you're already doing the do behaviors, great, check that box off. But if you're like, ooh, maybe not so much, like maybe I should practice that one, then just give it a circle so that you know that's something that you're actively going to be demonstrating in your own behaviors in our chat and in our forums. Okay, so do share from your experience. Don't give advice or be a fixer or try to solve another member's challenges. This can be really hard. As a coach, I will be giving you advice. Okay, I'll be giving other members advice. But as a member, we ask you to not try to fix things. So not saying like, hey, you should read this or you should do this. We really find that members coaching other members does not go over well. So if that's your tendency, and I know for me, that's been my tendency in the past, I'm a bit of a know-it-all. So when I'm in groups where I'm a member and not a coach, I've had to really change my language around that. Instead of saying, hey, you should do this, I would say, hey, I was in a similar situation and this was really helpful to me. Okay, the second do is to be present, to be all in. To be ready for action and to practice present moment self-observation. So you notice what you're feeling and doing. And this allows you to have the most transformation on any live session, whether you're speaking up or not. The opposite of this is sort of multitasking, floating in and out of the conversations. We found that when people do that and then they give advice, it's like the double whammy of like, they're not even that present to what's actually going on. And then they give advice from there. No bueno. Okay, so there's a practice where you somatically feel like you take in what someone is saying and actually allow your viscera, allow your physical body to feel the sensations that you're feeling. And knowing that there's an intelligence to that. And so in Ayurveda, it's very tied to the jnana-maya kosha, what you're feeling in your gut, what you're feeling in your heart, what you're feeling in your skin. Is all connected to your own transformation due to the other person's experience in coaching. So we allow ourselves to do that. And again, what doesn't work is floating in and out. So if you find that you can't really be on a live call without floating in and out, just don't have your screen on is another thing. And this is in a live session. Just turn your screen off because it could be just super distracting for other people to see you kind of walking around your kitchen or cooking or whatnot. All right. The next do is listen. Listen deeply and listen compassionately. The opposite of that is labeling or judging. So listening and judging. And this has arisen where someone's actually been like, oh, it sounds like you're in a victim mindset, or something like that. And it's not helpful. What you want to do is relate to the speaker, and then to share from your experience what may be helpful. Or just might be relative, might be just simply relating and compassionate. All right, being open-minded and ready to learn. Like, one of the worst ways to listen is to confirm what you already know. And what I find really is, as you're listening, say you're listening to something and your mind clicks into, I already know this. What I want you to do is ask yourself, am I doing it? Am I actually doing that? I might know it. Am I doing it? Because if not, there's a bit of a cognitive disconnect where your mind knows something, but you're not actually able to take action on it. You're not actually taking action on it. And then the question is why? And as soon as you ask yourself why, you're slotting into deeper listening. And that's right where we know you'll get the most out of the experience. All right, being persistent in getting your own needs met. Reach out, don't tweak out. That's one of our ground rules. Sometimes people withdraw because they feel behind. Sometimes people withdraw because they feel like they're either ahead of the group or behind the group. Either way, it can feel like you're not getting your unique needs met. That is why we have 3 laser coaching sessions a week, whether it's with me or whether it's with your peer mentors. So the whole idea is like, bring your voice to the conversation. Let us know what your unique needs are. Let us know that you're connecting to the conversation. Let us get to know you. And, that's really the way to go. Otherwise, what can happen is you can feel badly after that you're not raising your challenge with whoever's present. With whatever's mentor's present, whether it's me or a peer mentor. All right, so being inclusive versus being exclusive. So in our dynamic groups function through inclusion, meaning that we're all in this together. And the more curiosity you bring to your own edge, your own growing edge in the conversation, the more effective the group will be for you. Being exclusive, again, that's kind of going back to labeling or judging an experience that someone else is having. We really invite you to increase your compassionate listening there. And, just again, reinforcing that, like, not being in the know-it-all, but being actually really curious as to maybe why the person is experiencing what they're experiencing, and relating to that can be really effective. Saying things like, oh, I can relate. My example here, when you talked about your mother, like, I can relate to that. It's such an important part of transformation. We find is that when someone actually feels heard and supported and connected and is leaning into their growing edge, they're much more able to take action than when there's fear and isolation. All right, so this last one is really critical. I want to thank Patty Hlava, and she and I just recorded a podcast on this and on trauma in the YHC podcast. So there's a lot in the podcast that actually arose from just her helping me figure some of this out. And she has a PhD in mental health and psychology. So it's been super helpful to work with her. So noticing your own tendencies to avoid your own discomfort by problem solving for other people. Now, what this is again, it's a bit of a shift from the feeling body into the cognitive. And some people, like, that's your safe spot, is being smart and being able to problem solve and take action and to come up with solutions. The problem with that is, if someone is processing trauma, they're not ready to move on to solutions. So the way that you become part of a dynamic group in that is you actually just become self-aware to what you are noticing with someone else's discomfort. This is like being with someone when the issue is unresolved, being with the pain, being with the fear, being with the freezing up that can happen, being with the total unknown. and not needing to like shift right into problem solving. This is something like I would circle this for myself. It's something I've worked on a lot, and it's a growing edge. So being self-aware, I notice my mind is racing to make this feel better. That can be a feeling. And now again, you're going back into being present, being somatically listening, and not needing to solve someone else's problems. All right. So that's it. That's the do's, the don'ts. It's a great thing to read over even, during a live session, just to like take a glance and say like, hey, which one of these do behaviors can I work on right now? Can I demonstrate through my own behaviors on this live session? And the more we all do this, I think what you'll experience is that your growth, that your growing edge is activated and that your growth accelerates. Namaste.